This video is for homework and Mastery 1.6, Exponents in Order of Operations. When we're talking about exponent form, what we're doing is whole numbers with exponents, except for 0, tell us how many factors are in the repeated multiplication. The base is the number that is being multiplied. Let's look at what I mean by that. An exponent is a shorthand number that saves writing the multiplication of the same number. Notice here, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. I have 4 3's here, which means I have 3 raised to the 4th power. I'm taking 3 and multiplying it by itself 4 times. 3 is my base, that is the number I'm multiplying by itself. 4 is my exponent. This is read 3 to the 4th power. An exponent is literally taking whatever number that I'm wanting to multiply out by itself, raised to however many times I'm wanting to multiply it by itself. So look at these two examples. Write in exponent form. I have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Then I also have 5 times 5 times 5 times y times y. We have to be careful on part B because it has two different items that are going to be raised to different powers. On part A, if I count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 3's. That means I will have 3 raised to the 7th power, as shown here. Remember, it is my base, whatever I'm multiplying, raised to however many I have of it. On part B, I have 1, 2, 3 5's, and then I have 2 y's. That is why it is 5 raised to the 3rd power times y raised to the 2nd power. Notice I don't have a total of 5 5th power or anything like that. Each one has their own exponent. You do have to be careful of that. I can also rewrite things in the expanded form, basically taking it the other direction, such as here. A to the 4th is the same thing as A times A times A times A, and 5 to the 4th is the same thing as 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Evaluate each of these expressions. 3 to the 4th, 5 to the 3rd, 3 to the 5th, 12 to the 2nd, and 7 to the 4th. First, let's look at 3 to the 4th. What this means is I want to take 3 and multiply it out 4 times. So, 3 times 3 would be 9. 9 times 3 would be 27. 27 times 3 would give me 81. Do the same thing with the next one, 5 to the 3rd. That means I want to take 5 and multiply it out 3 times. 5 times 5 would be 25, times another 5 would give me 125. I think you kind of see the pattern. So if you try the next 3 on your own, 3 to the 5th, 12 to the 2nd, and 7 to the 4th, see what you can get. Pause the video if you need time. Here are your answers to these questions. 3 to the 5th would be 243. It is 3 times itself 5 times. 12 squared, 12 raised to the 2nd power, is the same thing as 12 times 12, which is 144. 7 to the 4th is the same thing as 7 times itself 4 times, which would give us 2,401. As you can see, it can be written in many ways. All of these mean the exact same thing. We want to notice that some things mean the same thing, and you may have already noticed. If the value of the exponent is 2, I've been saying that it's squared. That's just easier. It's a different way. So if anytime you see the word squared, it means I want to multiply it by itself twice. If the exponent is 3, that is the same thing as cubed, 3 times. If the value of the exponent is greater than 3, we say that the base is raised to the exponent power, the 4th power, the 5th power, things like that. These are going to be extremely important when we are going to be translating from the English language into the symbols, like we've been doing with everything else. Look at these 2 examples. Translate using symbols. 6 cubed. W to the 7th power. Remember what I said cubed meant. Cubed actually means 3rd power. So 6 cubed is 6 to the 3rd power. W to the 7th power is W with a 7 in the exponent form. You'll be using exponents for everything that we have, whether it be order of operations or anything like that. Now that we're about to transform into order of operations, let's look at the actual order of operations. There are many ways that we could do math, but across the world we had to agree on one way. And so that is what this is, the universal order of operations that we must follow. You may have heard the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," things of that nature. We need to be careful when using phrases like that because they may lead to an erroneous order that we're not familiar with. So please make sure that you follow it in these 4 orders. First, perform operations inside the parentheses. We always do parentheses first. Second, simplify any expression with exponents. Third, we multiply or divide from left to right. Therefore, we look at the problem going from left to right and work any multiplication or division in the order it comes in. Therefore, if a division is ahead of the multiplication, we must do it first. And we'll look at a couple of examples of this. It is very important to notice that multiplication and division are equivalent to each other in the order of operations. They're on the same line. So we do those in order from left to right. Once we've completed all multiplication and division, then we move to addition, subtraction in order from left to right again. So if you notice my timeline down here, it goes parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide, always go from left to right, and then we add or subtract from left to right, just like we read a book. So let's look at some examples. First, evaluate 24 divided by 2 minus 4 times 2. So let's think about the order of operations that I just gave you. Number 1 was parentheses. Do I have any parentheses there? No, I don't see any parentheses, so number 1 is checked off. Number 2, simplify any expression with exponents. I don't have any exponents in this problem, so I can move on. Number 3 was to multiply or divide. Okay, I see multiplication and division. I have division here, I have multiplication here. The question is, which one do I do first? Remember, you must do multiplication and division in order from left to right. Therefore, I would actually do the 24 divided by 2 first, as I have shown here. So 24 divided by 2 is 12. After we do that, then we can proceed to the next item. Again, think about your order of operations. Parentheses. No, I don't have any more parentheses. Exponents. No. Do I have any more multiplication or division? Yes, I do. 4 times 2. So I will do that next. 4 times 2 is going to be 8. Okay, so I've done the 4 times 2 is 8. So now then I have a simple addition subtraction, 12 minus 8. And my final answer would be 4. This one may have seemed very simple, but it is extremely important to remember that multiplication and division must be done in order from left to right, as we will see in this next example. Here, first off, again, remember, parentheses. Do I have any parentheses? No, I do not. Exponents. Ah, I do have exponents. I have the 6 raised to the second power. I need to do it first. So, 6 to the second is the same thing as 6 times 6, which is 36. So I'm going to replace the 6 squared with 36 and rewrite the rest of my problem. Then I look at the rest of my problem. I don't have any parentheses. I don't have any more exponents. I move to multiplication and division. I have multiplication and division. Which one do I do first? The correct answer is actually the division, because it comes first from left to right. I need to do this division before I do this multiplication. So if I do 36 divided by 6, it will give me 6. And so whenever I replace that, then I can look at what I need to do next, which would be the multiplication. 6 times 2, which will give me 12. And 12 plus 1 is 13. And here are all the steps that we followed in this particular problem. If you had done the problem differently, if you had done this multiplication before the division, you would have come up with a totally different answer. Try it on your paper. See what you get. You'll notice that you get a totally different answer, which is not a good thing. That is why it is agreed upon of the order of operations. You must do multiplication and division in order from left to right. Let's look at another example. Oh, here we have parentheses, we have exponents. Okay, so we need to do what's inside the parentheses first, which would be all of this. Inside that parentheses, what do we need to do first? We actually need to do this exponent first. So we're going to evaluate the 4 squared first. 4 squared becomes 16. Now then, we will do 16 minus 13, still working inside the parentheses, and that will give us 3. 4 plus 3 raised to the 4th minus 3. I don't have anything left inside the parentheses to do, so then I move on to the exponent. I must evaluate this exponent of 3 to the 4th. 3 raised to the 4th is the same thing as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which will give me 81. Then I must look at my problem. I do not have any multiplication or division, so I must add or subtract. And again, remember, do it in order from left to right. So the first operation that comes into play would be the addition, 4 plus 81, which gives me 85. My final step would be to subtract 85 minus 3, giving me 82. Making sure that you know the order of operations is extremely important. If you do not follow the order of operations, you will get different answers from your classmates, from other people working on teams, anything like that. That is why it's universally agreed upon on these order of operations. Therefore, that is the importance of doing the order of operations such as multiplication, division in order from left to right, addition, subtraction in order from left to right. Please make sure that you practice these order of operations over and over. You will see it pop up constantly. If you need help, please feel free to ask one of us.